The whole world, and the world will bow and admit that I am the greatest of all times when you see what I do to George Foreman. I'm just getting hot thinking about it.
You are. Well, would you think, if you're so hot about it, have you made up a poem about him?
Yeah, I made up a good poem, a little short poem. I said, last night I had a dream. When I got to Africa, I had one hell of a rumble. I had to beat Tarzan's behind first for claiming to be the king in the jungle. For this fight, I've wrestled with alligators. I've tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning and put thunder in jail. You know I'm bad. I have murdered a rock. I injured a stone, and I hospitalized a brick. I'm so bad I make medicine sick. I'm so fast, man, I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. When George Foreman meets me, he'll pay his debt. I can drown a drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali. He's the most famous athlete in the world, a boxing great and a cultural icon.
He boxed certain ways to beat fighters, and he belittled them, and half of them were half beat before they ever got in the ring with him.
This guy had reflex like you would not believe.
I asked my trainer when I got back to the corner, what's holding him up, Yank? I said, what's holding this man up?
But Muhammad Ali was also famous for his fights outside the boxing ring. He confronted racism and fought for civil rights. He embraced Islam and took on the US political system as he refused to be drafted to fight in the Vietnam War. And he faced the ultimate battle with his own failing health. The legend of Ali begins in Louisville, Kentucky, where he was born on the 17th of January 1942. The eldest of two brothers, Cassius Clay, as he was christened, had much to live up to.
I'm Cassius Marcellus Clay VI, and my great-great-grandfather was a Kentucky slave, and he was named after some great Kentuckian. Well, Cassius Marcellus Clay is a great name in Kentucky. And really, where he was from or where it was all originated, I couldn't tell you. But since I've reached a little fame in boxing, most people want to know where am I from and where did I get that name. But really, I haven't really checked on it, so I see that I'm going to have to go look in the
You'll have to look it up.
See what it's all about now that I'm getting a little interviews. Yeah.
How did you come to take up boxing?
Well, I started about 6 years ago. My bicycle was stolen, and my cousin was a boxer. He wasn't too successful, but he boxed. And he told me that he would train me if I ever catch the guy that, you know how kids think, if I ever caught the guy that stole my bicycle, well, he would, I would know how to fight.
I would come to town and two guys would try to meet me, Muhammad, Jimmy Ellis. They were always around. They were great amateurs. I knew nothing about amateurs then. I get a call from the lobby, and it went to Rhetoric, my name is Cassius Marcellus Clay. I won the Golden Gloves in Kentucky. I won the gloves in Chicago. I won the gloves in Seattle, Washington. I'm going to be the next Olympic champion. And this was 1958. So this kid was predicting 2 years prior.
Nobody knew what to do with him. They were almost hoping against hope that he got somebody's glove shoved down his throat. And he was fighting a fight that nobody knew in the heavyweight division. His fight for a 6'3" fighter was that of a welterweight or lightweight. Fast. And he didn't do anything any boxer should. His hands are down. He doesn't bob and weave, he pulls straight back. That's a no-no, and he doesn't have a jab. So they don't know what the hell to look for.
For Ali, the 1960 Rome Olympics offered a platform for his athletic talent. And this was where, as he predicted, he took his first steps towards global fame.
There were no easy fights at the Olympic Games in 1960. The name of Cassius Clay only spread around the Olympic boxing camp when we arrived in Rome.
No one knew what to expect. Never heard of him, didn't know who he was. He was then a light heavyweight, and he got into the final against this very experienced Pole who did, I think, well over 300 fights. And there was this gangling kid of 18 coming with his dangling fist down here. It was so odd. Then, of course, he waited till the third round and he really clobbered this Pole. And you realised then that you'd seen something big.
I knew that he was going to be difficult, and his boxing style did not suit me. He was too loose, and unimpeded. Fighting him proved so difficult. In fact, I have to admit that he was better than me. And as it proved, throughout the remainder of his career, he was a phenomenal boxer.
How you gonna write? What are you fighting against? Who you want me to fight? You pick. Who do the press want me to fight? Who do you think you should fight? The best man. Who is the best man? Who do you think? I don't know. I believe it to you. Find him.
This was 1960. We went out on the town. He was amazed. We started in Times Square. He was amazed that everywhere we went, people recognized. And of course, the fact that he was wearing his Olympic blazer with the letters USA about 8 inches high helped. Plus, he was wearing his gold medal around his neck, which he had not at that point taken off. He had slept on his back for 2 days, which was not his style, because he was afraid that if he slept any other way, he'd cut himself on the medal. He was just beautiful.
But on his return to the US, the young Ali came face to face with racism and the emerging civil rights movement. These were turbulent times in America.
Louisville was a southern city, and with Jim Crow laws, which were not unheard of in 1960, he and I could not eat together in a, quote, white restaurant downtown. We could eat together in a restaurant in the black section of town, but not in the white section.
In 1963, and against this tumultuous backdrop, Ali's journey to becoming heavyweight champion of the world took him to London to face popular English boxer Henry Cooper. A confident Ali predicted Cooper would fall in round 5.
I'm too fast.
You're saying about round 5.
Round 5. This will be no contest. This will be a total annihilation.
Any special training?
No special training. Just be at the fight. I'm ready to back up everything I'm saying, and I'm through talking.
The English public like a gentleman, you know, gentleman Henry Cooper, who got knighted by the Queen. So I know all these things. So lo and behold, yap, 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 going to knock him out in 4, you know, the public sort of backed off on the kid. But he didn't mean no harm. He just was trying to build something. You know, then he got on the scale, he went 5, you know, he did it, but it was all in fun.
I was confident that I could catch him with a good punch. See, my eye was so badly cut. My eye had been bleeding like for a couple of rounds, and because he caught me with the heel of the glove, chopped down on the brow and cut it. And I knew it was bad, because it's funny, in most fights, the only way you can tell a cut is bad is by if you feel the warm blood dripping on your chest. And I could feel this wall, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is now, he's gonna stop this. And Jim Wicks, when I came back in the 3rd round, he said, look, we may have to. I said, don't stop it. I said, I can catch him. I said, I can catch him. I said, just do it up as best you can and let me get out and have one round. And then the 4th round, I called him, you know, and I thought, oh, thank God for that. But then the blooming bell went.
Cooper's famous left hook landed Ali on the floor. But what happened next was surrounded in controversy.
He went back to his corner and he see that the stitching had stretched on the right-hand glove a bit. He just ripped it.
A lot of people said that I cut the glove. I actually didn't cut the glove. The glove was split in the very first round. It was split in the seam of the glove. So Muhammad naturally had his way with Cooper, and I kept quiet about it. What happened when Cooper hit him that left hook was a beauty. What happened was I ran across, brought him back to the seat, sat him down, chewed him up, put my finger in the leather and lifted it. Walked over to the referee and I said, this glove is split, you'll have to get a new glove. I didn't do nothing but help a situation. See, that's what you're there for. You try to do the best you can to help your fighter.
But the eye was so badly cut, and he came out and he hit me on it about 2 or 3 times, and it started pumping blood. Then the referee had to stop it. Ali did say, you know, I'll stop him in 5, all right, and he did.
In 1964, Ali had his shot at the world heavyweight crown when he faced the seemingly invincible Sonny Liston. Not only did he shake up the world with a surprise victory, Ali also had another surprise.
Two weeks before the fight, he announces he's a Muslim. Right away, people in those days, what was a Muslim? They didn't know, you know, so I didn't know. Because Muhammad never spoke religion with me, I never spoke religion with him, none of my business. I didn't even know he was a Muslim.
Ali's views on racism and civil rights started to come into focus through his contact with the radical black separatist group Nation of Islam.
The only thing that I have to worry about is staying out of places that Muslims shouldn't be. Well, most world champions go, like various movies and parties and nightclubs and temptation as far as women are concerned, and drinking and smoking and all of this fast life that confronts a man of my title.
I think that Cassius was young. At the time of that, 1964, he was 22 years of age, impressionable, given to direction. And I think Malcolm X talked to him sincerely and seriously, one-to-one, and was able to charm him. And Clay-Ali accepted it. It was all new thinking to him.
And the Muslims are straightening me up and teaching me the truth and saving my life so that I can see the hereafter. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us the religion of Islam, and I will die for it and give everything. But as far as taking me for a ride concerned, I've been the one that was taking me for a ride and still taking my people for a ride as the white people.
The church that his mother and so forth went to was really a white church. The Baptist church were white churches where the blacks sat in the back. That's no kind of church. His church said black is best, and the whites are devils. That fit his purposes.
Nine top Negro athletes meet with Cassius Clay to discuss his anti-draft stand. Says Brown after the meeting, the champ is sincere in his religious beliefs. He believes in his religion, and his stand is based wholly on that. Clay's induction refusal cost him his title, and he faces a possible 5-year prison sentence. He claims exemption as a minister of the black Muslim faith.
Will you go into service as such? This would be 1,000% against the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the religion of Islam, and the Holy Quran, the holy book that we believe in. This will all be denouncing and defying everything that I stand for. This would mean, of course, that you stand the chance of going to jail as a result of not going into service. Well, whatever the punishment, whatever the persecution is for standing up for my religious beliefs, even if it means facing machine gun fire that day, I will face it before denouncing Elijah Muhammad and the religion of Islam. I'm ready to die.
You're not apologizing for the unpatriotic statements that you made.
I'm a champ of the world. This is athletic commissioner, and I'm here to fight for the title, and I'm just apologizing for what I said to the newspapers and to the press when I should have had these things to say, and they will now be said with the people themselves who are in charge of this.
Mr. Clay,
Muhammad Ali, sir.
Mr. Muhammad Ali, either
Yes,
one.
Just Muhammad Ali.
When you appeared before this commission before, if I recall correctly, you said you were the people's champion?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that you're acting like a people's champion?
Yes, sir.
With tensions rising all around Ali, his fight with Ernie Terrell revealed an altogether darker side to his character.
We met to sign for the fight at a press conference with the boxing commissioners and everybody there. The promoter said to me, says, Ernie, says, you have to train in Chicago at least 2 weeks ahead of the fight in order to sell the fight. Is that all right with you? I said, it's all right with me if it's all right with Clay. He said, Muhammad. I said, well, Muhammad. So why do you call me Clay? Why do you call me Clay and everybody else call me Muhammad? I said, well, man, look, you told me your name was Muhammad when I met you. I said, I just got used to Clay. I ain't told you nothing. You just an old Uncle Tom. And he pushed me. And then we started wrestling. What he did in the fight, he got caught me in a headlock. And he took his thumb, did like this, and he poked it in my eye. The thumb went up that way and pushed the eye down through a bony substance that fits under the eye. And the muscle that turned the eye got caught in that bone. And it would stay straight, it wouldn't turn. So, because it wouldn't turn, I would see one guy over there and one guy over here whenever he moved around.
He was punctuating each punch with, "What's my name? What's my name?" Because they'd called him Clay, not Ali. It was a cruel Ali. And we tend to sweep that under the rug. But there was a cruel Ali in there. And that was a little disturbing because we didn't want to see this. It's supposed to be a sweet science. It's a civilized sport. Barbaric though it is, it's legalized assault. There's got to be some niceties to it. And this wasn't nice.
I have nothing against him personally. He's a good guy. The people that he had around him, these dirty tricks people, that is what disturbed some of the fighters that he fought.
220.46 pounds, Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest fighter of all times. And when I hit you with a hard right hand, you will fall.
But Ali's fight with the US government continued to rage, with Ali refusing to be drafted into the army for the war in Vietnam.
I don't see why, when they ask me about the Army, why should me and other so-called Negroes go 10,000 miles away from home here in America to drop bombs and bullets on other innocent brown people who's never bothered us. And I will say directly, no, I will not go.
When they call for you to step forward to accept the draft, he did not. He was promptly arrested, and within 24 hours, those clowns in clowns' clothing who call themselves the Boxing Authority had stripped him of his title. And for the next 3.5 years, Muhammad Ali has to scrimp for a living.
It would be several years before the decision was finally reversed, and he was allowed into the ring again.
In his comeback fight in October of 1970 at the Hyatt, Ali, who now has come back to great acclaim, particularly by the younger black audience, which has stuck to his ribs, part of which is because of his stance, part of which is because of his courage to speak out as a black man, and part of which is he went out to college campuses and they now were one with him. And they've all flocked to Atlanta, Georgia. And Ali, after shaking as many hands and signing as many autographs as he could, and he never turned down a request, goes in one of those bullet-like bubble elevators up to his floor, leaving the people on the first floor waving at him like a god ascending.
And I want to make one prediction. I'm not calling around. I predict that when I meet Joe Frazier, this will be like a good amateur fighting a real professional. This will be like a kid out of the Olympics meeting the fastest heavyweight champion that ever lived. This will be no contest. I just look
You're not fighting Glory, you're not fighting Oscar Bonavera, you're not fighting Sonny Liston, you fighting Joe Frazier.
Everybody knows that's not the point. That's the point.
By now, Ali's bitter rival Joe Frazier was world champion. Both fighters entered their 1971 contest undefeated. It was billed the fight of the century.
If Joe Frazier whoops me, I'm getting on my hands on my knees, crawl across the ring, look up to you, say you're the champion.
Well, I tell you what, I don't. You might not be able to crawl. If he whipped me, I'll crawl across the ring to him. But in this situation, he ain't gonna be able to crawl. I gotta walk over.
I feel like Muhammad was a little nervous on the basis that we're Joe Frazier, I'm on. Something like that. He was just psyching himself up. That, you know, hey, I gotta get ready. Joe Frazier, I'm the greatest, I'm gonna whip you. You know, he's the guy, gotta get himself ready. I mean, I didn't do that. I was ready. I mean, I was ready from day one when he started talking about fighting each other. So therefore, he had to hype him on himself.
The day of the fight was a build-up of one of the greatest publicity campaigns in the history of publicity campaigns. You had two undefeated heavyweight champions, you'll never have that again, fighting in the then mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden, in the biggest city in the world of communications. Their pictures had been on the front of Life magazine. Their pictures had been on the front of every magazine. They had made commercials. They were the first two athletes to ever be guaranteed over $1 million, 2.5 apiece.
It was a happening. Guy yelled my name when I was on the apron. Hey, Angelo. Yeah, Frank Sinatra snapping my picture. Is that nice? You know, nice feeling.
For 2.5 rounds, Frazier couldn't get near Ali. Just pop, 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 pop. Then he kept closing and closing and closing the area between them ever closer. And his pre-fight prediction that I'm a small piece of leather but well put together was holding true.
I don't know how Muhammad survived the 11th round. It was like he was on a ballet dancer. He got nailed and he was reaching out and trying to grab on Joe. I don't know how he survived the 11th round.
And I asked my trainer when I got back to the corner, what's holding him up, Yank? I said, Yank, what's holding this man up? Well, I said, you just go back where you left off from. So he fall after a while. And he did.
Naturally, I'm biased. I don't think Muhammad lost that fight. But then we wouldn't have the other two fights. See, that knockdown in that last round, Muhammad had 2 bad rounds, 11th round and the 15th round.
When you talk about the butterfly, you gotta think about the man who faced the butterfly, who took him down. Where that he was the guy saying that, Joe Frazier, if you knock me down, I'll crawl across the ring on my knees and say, you are the greatest. He was trying to get to the hospital after the fight.
After the fight, for the next 2 days, Ali was taken to a hospital. Frazier was taken to a hospital. Rumors abounded that Frazier was dead, but the aftermath had, just like the stone that hit water, it kept growing and growing. And with it, too, the legend of Muhammad Ali, who had given everything he had and more in a losing cause, and didn't complain, and didn't alibi, and didn't make up any excuses. The winner in that fight became the loser. The loser in that fight became the winner.
Ali and Frazier would go on to meet another 2 times in the ring. But in 1974, Ali had another date with history and another epic encounter, this time with Frazier's conqueror, the fearsome George Foreman, in the fight dubbed the Rumble in the Jungle. During the fight, he employed what was later termed the rope-a-dope strategy, letting Foreman punch himself to exhaustion as Ali, covering up, absorbed his punches by leaning back on the ropes. In the 8th round, Ali exploded and floored the floundering champion.
I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. Sunday, listen. I told you today, I'm still the greatest of all time.
At the end of beating George Foreman, the greatest triumph of his career, the most spectacular show, is this rope-a-dope technique, which was an innovation that the world had never seen before. He should have ended it right there. Metaphorically, I felt that he should have been frozen in ice and taken over to nearby Mount Kilimanjaro and preserved there like Hemingway's leopard for all time.
But Ali faced yet another battle outside the boxing ring, a battle with his own failing health. But he's giving his best performance yet.
He's looking at obscene monstrosity called Parkinson's disease right in the eye and say, screw you. I went to the mat 3 times with Joe Frazier. I went to Africa and fought the giant who was never supposed to lose. You think you, Parkinson's disease, you're going to stop me? You're not going to stop me. I'm going to go. And as Parkinson's got the upper hand and continued to go, I'm going to light that damn flame in Atlanta. Don't tell me I can't do it.
He fulfills every quality you need for a dramatic figure. And on top of that, make it better, he's handling the disease just as good as he did boxing. He's getting the most out of the disease. The guy's milking the disease, and he's sick. There's no question about it. He just will not knuckle under. And so what's he saying? He's saying to everybody that's got a bad disease, don't stop and get in your bed and feel sorry for yourself. Get up, go someplace.
If the Queen of England, the President of the United States, the Pope, and Muhammad Ali walked down Fifth Avenue, a lot of people would say, who are those three people with Muhammad Ali? He was definitely the most recognizable human being on earth.
Since the 1960s, Muhammad Ali has become the most famous athlete in the world, a legend in the ring and a cultural icon outside of it. But at the heart of the Ali legend, there is still an enigma.
He is the greatest blend of achievement, folk myth, honesty, belief in God, and caring about what happens to people. Put them all together in one body, in one mind. He's the greatest, and you better believe it.
This might be my last fight tonight. A great possibility